At the start of the movie, the Marines are pushing themselves to the limit at a U.S. Marine Corps base. The training is intense, from running through obstacles to some tough hand-to-hand combat. But one Marine stands out, named Allison. She's quick, focused, and fierce, until her trainer unexpectedly attacks her, snapping her out of her victory high and reminding her to stay alert for a bit. Later, we see Sam, a secret agent and Allison's grandfather, who is clearly impressed with her skills. They head to a local bar to grab some drinks, and Sam shares some exciting news. He's getting her a spot at the White House. He's already got the general's approval, and Allison's super excited, but she can't shake the feeling that it's more about her family ties than her skills. Sam reassures her that she's the best of the bunch. In the meantime, news drops that the president wants to team up with Estovia, a country near Russia, all because of a pretty controversial oil deal. This move stirs up a lot of debate, but the president is determined to push it through, no matter the backlash. The next day at the White, the president was in his office with the vice president, who was really against his decision to work with Estovia because he was worried about the mafia running their oil. But the president stood his ground. Meanwhile, Allison was now at the White House. Sam called his team together and told them to get ready for the president's trip to Estovia to seal the deal. Then he turned to Allison and told her to come along, since they would be escorting the president on Air Force One. The next day, Allison can't believe it. Air Force One, something she's dreamed about since she was a teenager, is actually happening. Later that evening, we switch to General Rodanov's headquarters in Estovia. He's really angry, pacing around and venting about the president's choice to partner with the U.S. He's had it up to here. Without skipping a beat, he pulls the prime minister, who's totally backing the deal, into the room. Rodanov's hold on Estovia's oil is loosening, and just the idea of losing it drives him crazy. The pressure from the U.S. is just too overwhelming for him. He'll go to any lengths to stay in power. The scene changes to an Air Force One pilot coming home, only to discover his family has been taken hostage by Nikolai, one of Rodanov's brutal enforcers. Without wasting any time, Nikolai orders the pilot to call the president's team and say he can't make it to work tomorrow. But it's already too late. Nikolai coldly guns him down along with his family, leaving no one alive. Meanwhile, an American agent assigned to protecting aircraft logistics info just got real. He's about to get in his car when someone sneaks up and knocks him out. It's Joan, one of Rodanov's tough guys. She jumps in and grabs the sensitive data, giving Rodanov's crew full control of the aircraft logistics. The next day, Allison can't believe her eyes as she steps onto Air Force One for the first time. The plane is huge, sleek, and way more impressive than she ever pictured. Sam hurries her inside. They need to get her settled fast. The president shows up. A little while later, Falcon, the U.S. president, hops on. He's all about business, heading right to his private room as the plane preps for takeoff. But there's a secret threat aboard. Nikolai has slipped in, posing as one of the pilots, while Joan is quietly taking out an agent in the back cabin. As the plane zooms through the night sky, one of the pilots tries to reach the control center, but there's no reply. The server's been taken over. Just then, Nikolai kicks out both pilots and sends a chilling message to Rodonov that Air Force One is now under their control. Back in the cabin, a journalist starts grilling Falcon about Estovia. The president stays cool and explains that Estovia's president asked for help, saying they have huge oil reserves that hardly ever make it to the government. Out of nowhere, Nikolai taps into the plane's sound system. Rodanov's voice crackles through, hitting the passengers like a ton of bricks. They're being hijacked, Rodanov. It's clear that the president's power is shot. All the satellites and servers are in their hands now. The president has to go along with it for the time being. Sensing the threat, Sam, who's in charge of security, jumps into action. He pulls the president into a secure room with 2 agents and tells the passengers to stay calm in the middle cabin. Not long after, a journalist from Estavia, secretly one of Rodanov's guys, takes out one of the agents watching over the passengers. He's not by himself. There's another infiltrator on board, so now there are 4 of them. While everything goes haywire, 2 agents burst into the cockpit, but are taken down right away by Joan, who's hiding in the shadows. Joan sends a code to Nikolai, who quickly declares that they've taken control of Air Force One. He tells the president to get out of the secure room right now and threatens to hurt the passengers if he doesn't. To show they're in charge, Nikolai does something. The plane jolts violently, and a shard pierces Sam's leg. He grits his teeth and tells Allison that her main job is to protect the president. He quickly tells everyone to move to safety and focuses on his injury. Nikolai isn't giving in. He tells the president he has 20 seconds to get out, counting down with deadly precision. The president, having no choice, leaves a secure room and sees two agents go down as Joan attacks from behind. He's taken to the B-class cabin, where Rodionov demands a video confession. Cancel the EOI's partnership and call out its leader and team publicly. Rodionov gives him an hour. The journalist is watching the president closely, but when he gets distracted, the president makes his move. He tries to fight back but gets taken down fast. Meanwhile, Joan gets ready to go into the B-class cabin, knocking 5 times to let them know he's there. Allison sees this and jumps into action. Once the journalist steps out to wait for the president, Allison doesn't waste any time. She knocks 5 times, just like Joan. The door swings open, and a brutal fight erupts between Joan and Allison, but Allison's got the upper hand. She takes Joan down without mercy, getting rid of another threat. Meanwhile, we see inside the passenger cabin where one of Rodionov's goons is keeping a close eye on the hostages, including some officials and big-name figures. He spots some movement from the next room where Sam is. As he goes to check it out, the journalist jumps in, gun drawn. With Joan already out of the picture, Allison's hands are tied, and the journalist quickly tells Nikolai, who's still flying. Nikolai puts the plane on autopilot and rushes to find Joan. Meanwhile, Allison and the president are stuck, not sure what to do next. Then a voice breaks the tension. It's the journalist telling Allison to give up or he'll kill her uncle, Sam. He tells Sam to convince her to surrender. Sam, determined, tells Allison to look out for the president, since they're all doomed anyway. Furious at Sam's defiance, the journalist doesn't think twice and opens fire. In no time, Sam and the hostages are gone. The gunshots ring out in the plane. Allison's heart sinks as she realizes Sam is probably dead. In a frenzy, she grabs the president, telling him they need to get to the emergency room. They're going to jump out, but Nikolai is already waiting for them. Allison takes a shot. She misses, but the bullet clips the president's hand. It's not a bad injury, but the tension is insane. After that, Allison and the president jump out of the plane, landing hard on the ground. But they made it safely. Once back on the ground, the reporter and his buddies swore quietly when they realized their targets had slipped away. The reporter quickly let Rodionov know that the president and his agent had jumped out near a valley close to Russia. Rodionov reacted right away. He told his guys to take out Air Force One and to double down on finding where the president had touched down. Meanwhile, all hell broke loose at the Air Force One control center. The plane had disappeared from the radar, left everyone in a frenzy. In a rush, they reached out to the White House. Mark, the president's chief of staff, delivered the bad news to the vice president. With a serious tone, Mark confessed that there weren't many survivors from the plane crash. Meanwhile, Allison and the president were making a quick getaway, trying to find a safe place. Allison suggested they climb to higher ground to get a better signal for help. As they moved upward, Rodino, they sent wave after wave of soldiers to search the valley, trying to track them down. Not long after, Allison and the president slogged through the forest all day, worn out and on edge. When they found a small hut, they decided to crash there for the night. Inside, Allison took care of the president's injured hand, her mind racing. She couldn't shake off the feeling of being betrayed. The hijackers had known the plane would be an easy target, and they knew about Sam, her late uncle. As the night got darker, Allison and the president were chilling in a corner of the hut, swapping stories. He expressed his condolences for Sam's passing, and even though it hurt, Allison reminisced about him, saying he was like a dad to her after her parents were gone. The next morning, Allison woke up to find she had dozed off on the president's shoulder. Feeling awkward, she immediately said sorry, but the president just smiled and said, "No worries. Nobody's jealous. I'm still single." They packed their things and got ready to hit the road again, but things took a turn. Rodionov's guys were close by, just waiting to strike. Allison didn't hesitate, taking out a few of them without breaking a sweat. But it wasn't enough. More goons just kept coming. Realizing they were overmatched, the president hesitantly suggested they throw in the towel. Allison and the president were stuck in Rodionov's hideout, feeling totally helpless. Allison, filled with guilt, blamed herself for letting Sam down. As they walked, Rodino went off about how much he hated capitalists, saying they were destroying his country. The president just stayed calm, saying that working together could help both countries. But Rhino wasn't hearing it. He had been running the oil in Avia for years, pocketing all the cash. In the next room, Rodino was pushing for a confession video that would back out of the deal and blame the president for all the mess. The president. He was determined to die before betraying his country. But when Rodionov threatened to hurt Allison, the president had no choice but to give in. "You have 1 hour," Rodionov said, clearly enjoying himself. Meanwhile, Allison was stuck alone with Rodionov's right-hand guy. He tried to mess with her, but she wasn't having any of it. In a split second, she took him out and quietly moved through the building, getting rid of anyone who got in her way. Back in the room, the president had to get ready for the confession video. There were 2 makeup artists. He got there to change his clothes and put on some makeup for the shoot. But just as they were getting ready to film, Allison made her move. Armed with a rifle, she launched a surprise attack, taking down Rodionov's guys one after another. The sound of gunfire echoed throughout the building. It didn't take long for Rodionov and the president to figure out that Allison was fighting back. Soon after, she took out Rodionov's men, leaving him staring down the president. Rodionov growled, telling Allison to give up and threatening to kill her. The president was right there. In a split second, Rodionov shot Allison in the arm, getting her really close to losing. Just when he was about to finish her off, the president turned things around and took Rodionov out from behind. Both Allison and the president made it out okay. The next morning, Mark, the president's chief of staff, found them. He felt a wave of relief seeing the president was unhurt, and he hurriedly told them to get to a nearby airstrip and fly back to the States. But the president just shook his head. "Tend to. First, let's take care of Allison's wound," he said. Mark hesitated for a moment, but then went along with it, mumbling, "She's won." That stopped Allison in her tracks. It hit her hard, reminding her of something her old trainer used to say. "Never let your guard down, even when you think you've got it in the bag." While she was getting treated by the Special Forces guys, she casually asked about their unit, and they confirmed what she already knew. Then she brought up Commander Alex, and the soldiers shared a quick glance. Confirming they just talked to him, Allison suddenly sprang into action. One by one, the soldiers fell. She calmly wiped her hands, showing the truth. She'd made up the whole thing about Alex. They believed it. Alex wasn't a commander. He was just a dude who owned a bakery down the street. It hit Allison like a ton of bricks. Mark and these soldiers were the traitors she'd been after all along. Just when the tension in the room peaked, Mark flipped on the president, revealing he'd been in cahoots with General Rodionov the whole time. But just as he was about to hit, Allison jumped in and took him down with a quick shot. The threat was gone, at least for now. They hurried to the small airstrip where the president made a gutsy call and refused the waiting plane, opting to fly it himself. As they took off into the sky, he and Allison shared a quick look, a silent bond forming between them. Then, with everyone watching, he addressed the crowd, announcing he was still alive and strengthening the unshakable bond between them, America and the future. After a pause, he dropped a bombshell. He wants to propose to Allison, with the future wide open and full of endless possibilities. So the lesson here is, if you're planning to hijack Air Force One, just make sure Allison's not around.